compared to a .co.uk domain. By having a magazine as well as a website also creates synergy. Another major considerable disadvantage to using a conglomerate multinational distribution company opposed to an independent company is that the contents of the magazine will have to be what Bauer or IPC want, meaning that me, as the producer, will have very little say in what's included within the magazine. It will also appear as if the magazine is completely owned by the multinational conglomerate. The main problem with this is that media is most likely to lie within articles just to attract more attention, which results in increased profit, which means that the magazine could just turn into a money-making brand opposed to a music magazine targeted at people, giving them information they want that is accurate. In contrast, with an independent company, this problem wouldn't exist. To help with the financial limitations of this, I would get several sponsorship from companies, venues and bands. The ideal one to have would be O2, as they have a mobile network that caters for a lot of gigs, including venues such as the O2 Arena. By getting a sponsorship with these, institutional convergence can be developed where setting up synergy and saying that by signing up to the O2 network, discounted magazine subscriptions to pick up are available. This would be beneficial for not only my magazine, but also for O2. Question 4 and 5. Question 4. Who would be the audience for your media product? And question 5. How did you attract and address your audience? Yung Yang, 1991, suggested that all media producers should have an imaginary entity in mind before they start to create a media product. I therefore took this into consideration and created myself an imaginary entity in a reader profile. My reader profile includes information such as what the average pickup reader would be, what they would do, their interests, their job, and factors such as their age. By including all of this information and establishing it early on, means that when it came to making my magazine, I wouldn't have to decide on the spot who my magazine was getting targeted at. Below is my reader profile that I made. David is a 25-year-old male. In his free time, he loves to listen to music and play on his guitar. His favourite musicians inspire his everyday decisions and motivate him to learn how to play guitar. He aspires to be like his idol guitarist. He goes to every local gig he can and attends rock festivals to see his favourite bands. Whenever he is not listening to music or playing it, he is discussing it with his friends and talking about gigs and new albums. David would rather buy a CD opposed to download it illegally, as he wants to support his favourite bands in any way he can. He has merchandise of his favourite bands such as posters and signed artwork. David is up to date on technology and carries an iPod around with him wherever he goes. Whenever he is not talking to somebody, he is listening to his iPod. David likes to watch movies and hang out with his friends. This can be found on my blog. Additionally, I made a collage of different things my reader would ideally want to be associated with, things that they would like, think about and do within their lives. For example, they would dream of having a BMW car, and on weekends they like to drink beer. This can all be found on my blog. This was also helpful during my photography, as then I knew what to dress the band members in. By choosing clothes they like, makes them an ideal self or partner, as said by Richard Dyer and Carl Rogers. This additionally then means that they are more likely to be willing to spend more money on the magazine, as the people in it are looking how they dress. This then connotes to them that the magazine is going to be about things they like and the music they listen to. I have also chosen my audience to be quite rebellious within the jokers of the peer group, as I referred to them in my audience profile. This links with the theorist Stanley Cohen, 1975, as he says that the youth subcultures, Dick Heritage, of today are seen as folk devils. When I created my magazine, one of the main priorities was looking into ways I could address the audience so that it would be attractive to my magazine opposed to the other magazines that would be next to it. I tried to target my magazine at mainly male genders. However, I understand that there is also a percentage of female readers who would read my magazine. Therefore, I have included information for them as well. I did this by including female bands and singers, such as Paramore. I did this to create star personas, two for both genders, and ideal self and partners. Carl Rogers, 1980, and Richard Dyer, 1975. Although I have targeted at both males and females, there are more images of male bands, as this is primarily what my music magazine will focus on. I also made all the pictures of my males slightly larger than those of the females. I did this because I want them to appear more dominant compared to the females, said by Levi Strauss 1955. I had made all my models wear a certain dress code. I wanted them to be wearing casual clothing to connote Roland Barthes' a relaxed attitude, which represents that they are relaxed as a person, trying to help dilute the potential folk devil. I have carefully chosen the choice of language too, which will be quite informal. I have chosen it because during my research I noticed that successful music magazines such as Kerrang! And Q target a mainstream audience and they address them quite informally, opposed to being formal. Therefore, within their magazine, I have tried to copy this, for example, using the word rockin' as opposed to rocking. Additionally, within my magazine I have included advertisements for brands that are recognized by this subgenre. For example, some of these include Red Bull, Relentless, Monster, Marshall, Gibson, Coca-Cola, and Foster's. I have done this to increase advertisement success, which would therefore increase the profitability chances of the magazine. If I were to advertise unrelated products such as hair straighteners, then the reader would not be interested in them. However, by linking the advertisements to my reader profile will increase their interest in not only the adverts but also my magazine. The house style of my magazine additionally helps to address my audience. For example, I use black, white, and red as the three main colours of my magazine. By doing this, I target the rock subgenre more, as these three colours appeared the most popular from my research. The red connotes anger, the black connotes death, and the white connotes purity, and these three topics are related and play an influential part in the rock subgenre. Another way I have attracted the audience to my magazine is by advertising competitions for things my reader profile says my target audience wants. For example, there is an an advertisement on my front cover for winning a Gibson Les Paul Custom. This then increases the chance of people picking up my magazine opposed to other magazines. Question 6. What have you learnt about technology from the process of constructing this product? Before I even started my project, I created a Gmail account and a Postgres account. I had used my Gmail account throughout my whole project, as did I use my Postgres. I had to link my Gmail account with my Postgres. This then allowed me to compose emails anywhere and send them to post@postgres.com with any information I like, and it would upload it directly as a post on my blog. This was greatly beneficial when I didn't have access to a computer. For example, when I was in the Media Photo Studio, I was uploading information from my mobile device as I was taking the pictures. I did this because although I didn't have access to a computer, I had access to my email client on my phone, which allowed me to still keep in contact with my blog. Obviously, of course, I could still upload posts directly from logging onto Postgres on the internet too. If I ever made anything wrong within my blog, I could easily change it by logging back into my Postgres account and clicking on the post, and then pressing edit. Because my media project included a lot of large files, there were occasional times when my files would exceed the maximum upload limit on Postgres. I overcame this problem by signing up to another website, YouTube. Here I could upload much larger files, such as videos. An example where this happened was when I uploaded my proof of me making my prelim front cover, as the video was over 200 megabytes long and the maximum Postgres limit was 100 megabytes. I simply uploaded it to my YouTube account, which is 0000169558, and then I embedded the video within a post on my Postgres blog. This can be now watched on my blog. As well as these more internet-based technologies I have used throughout the whole creation of my media project, there was many software I learned how to use effectively and efficiently. The main one that I used was Adobe Photoshop. Before I began this media project, I did have some knowledge on Photoshop. However, my knowledge was on manipulating images, not touching up images of people and resizing and rescaling them to fit certain areas. Therefore, although I had the general idea of what to do, I was still learning. I feel that by the whole project creation, my knowledge within Photoshop has greatly increased, along with learning the true potential of tools that previously I never saw the need for. The first tool of which being the Magic Wand tool. Before, with my own knowledge of Photoshop, I never really understood the need for a Magic Wand tool, as all the images I worked with already didn't have any backgrounds. However, shortly after reviewing my photos that I took at the photo studio, I realised that in actual fact, by removing the background of images would be greatly beneficial and make it look a lot more professional. This is where the Magic Wand tool came into effect and made me realise its potential. The other main tool that I found truly amazing, which I never saw a need for before, was the dodge and burn tool. Because the photos I am used to working on are already correctly exposed and the highlights are effectively done, I never saw the need to use it. However, upon reviewing the images from my collection from my photo studio visit, I noticed that even tiny things such as slightly greyish looking eyes and not perfectly looking white teeth were not very attractive. The dodge and burn tool here came into great help. I now believe that I can use these tools a lot more often with my photography that I may do, because of the simplicity and the effectiveness of them. The other main software was Quark Express. Now, before hearing about it from my media teacher, I never heard of this software, and upon opening it for the first time, didn't really see much use for it. I enjoyed the induction lesson of the software as I learned, I started to realize how it could be useful. As the person I am, I don't like not knowing about a software fully. Therefore, when I got home that day, I downloaded the trial of Quark Express and played around with it, learning new things and getting comfortable. I also watched and read many tutorials on tools for Quark Express. I believe that by doing this, my limitations were reduced, and overall, I found it extremely helpful. The main tool I found amazing within Quark Express was the text tool and the text box tool. I really saw how easy these were to use and how separate custom shaped text boxes could be effectively linked. I really enjoy learning about this feature within Quark Express, as before I never really saw any need for text boxes shaped other than a square. Another great tool I found was the rule tool. I noticed shortly into my research of contents page and double page spread that in actual fact everything is precisely laid out down to the measurements, and that they were not sort of put anywhere that looked good. I also found getting real life dimensions onto a computer screen very hard. However, Quark Express truly made this easy. I found it amazing and can see myself using it many more times in the future. Another software that I used within my project was Cam Studio. Although I didn't really need to use this software much, when I did, the simplicity and effectiveness of it was amazing. It allows you to record your computer screen. This was very helpful for showing evidence of me making my music magazine. The main Cam Studio video I did was on my prelim making, which can be now found on my blog. Finally, I use software such as Windows Movie Maker 2.6 for editing my videos. This was greatly beneficial for my appendix videos, as I needed to produce videos for certain ones. An example where Windows Movie Maker is used would be my appendix 1 and 3, and of course this video here. I can do things like write hello on my screen. Not only did I learn new software skills, I also learned how hardware skills such as cameras, video recording, and audio recording devices. I use the Sony Alpha 200 series DSLR, digital single lens reflex camera, and before this project I always just saw them as more of an expensive camera, where there was no different from these in digital cameras. I learned all about how to correctly use aperture, shutter speed, ISO, composition, zoom, and focus. Here, I could also put my media theory knowledge to the test by using the rule of thirds, software such as video recorder and audio recorders were very helpful, and things such as my appendixes. In conclusion, I found that overall, when I look back, I have learned a lot of new technologies, and my knowledge of these technologies has greatly improved. Question 7. Looking back at your preliminary task, what would you feel you have learned in the progression from it to the full product? Looking back at my prelim task, I have personally noticed that I have become more aware of the codes and conventions of music magazines, and all of the genres. For example, the location of mastheads, cell lines, main cover images, and banners. I also now understand and could explain in detail why companies have chosen to lay out these items where they have been laid out. I would additionally feel comfortable explaining what colours have been used where and house styles. I know that during the stages of my prelim task that I didn't really know much about these, and I thought that they just placed things wherever looked good. For example, my front cover in my prelim task was poorly chosen colours that look tacky, unprofessional, and just stand out too much. After I performed my research into music magazines such as Kerrang and Rock Sound, I found that primarily these types of music magazines consist of 3 colours that all work well together and support the subgenre of the music magazine. Because of this, I then took this into consideration when I made my music magazine, and I came to the conclusion of using the colours red, black and white.